I'm gonna have to record like this because she does not want the phone to be put down. Like, she wants to go for it. So throughout my whole pregnancy, I was fairly active. I didn't have a lot of like nausea. I only threw up once throughout my whole pregnancy, which I'm really thankful for because I hate throwing up. Like, I'm that type of person that just, I don't like throwing up. So everything was going good. Everything, was progressing. The baby was fine. She was looking good. I'm doing like, I forgot what I was gonna say. At the beginning of pregnancy, I was anemic, so they did prescribe me some iron pills. So I was taking that along with drinking a shit ton of water because I didn't want to get any of the side effects of iron. So I was doing that. I was eating pretty healthy. I don't think I had any she grabbed my chunk. I don't think I had any major like cravings throughout my pregnancy. The only thing that I couldn't eat was like chicken. I hated chicken. I hated eggs, and that's like my number one food. I love chicken. I love eggs. So I couldn't eat that. At the first trimester, I did lose a lot of weight, which I slowly gained by the end of the pregnancy. I was like 15 pounds over my normal weight. So yeah, anyways, fast forward to 36 weeks. I went to my doctor's appointment. They checked. She was head down, ready to go. The OB had told me that she was head down for a couple of weeks now. So I was like, okay, this is good. She was even saying like, oh, this is good. Like, if she's head down already, more than likely she's not going to switch. Like, we're ready to roll. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I went home. I came back. They didn't do another ultrasound until I was 39 weeks and something days. And the only reason why they did that was because they tried to look for the heartbeat and he couldn't find it. So he's like, do you mind if I do an ultrasound? And I'm like, oh no, sure, like, go ahead. So then he did an ultrasound, and then he goes, when was the last time they checked like through ultrasound? And I'm like, oh, maybe like 3 weeks ago. And then he goes, oh, they should have checked earlier or like sooner because she is not head down. And I was like, what? And I was already like, getting close to my 40 weeks. And then he goes, you know what, like, she's too big already. You're almost 40 weeks. Like, we need to do a C-section. And I was like, no, like, this was not my plan. Like, what do you mean? So then he started saying like, oh, her head's like by your rib cage and yada yada yada. And then he goes, we need to get you into like the surgery room today. And I was like, what? Like, I was not prepared. So I started crying, and my mom had went with me to that appointment because my fiance was sick at home with COVID. So I was freaking out. I started crying, and like, I was just, that was not my plan. Like, I felt like, I don't know, I felt like my body let me down just because I had exercise. I had fucking drank plenty of water. Like, I had ate healthy food. Like, I was expecting and I was mentally prepared for a natural birth, and obviously that didn't happen. So then he tried to book me for that Friday. Thank God there was no available rooms until Tuesday. So then he ends up telling me to go home. He told me he would call me to possibly go to the hospital that same night. So I was crying because I knew Francisco wasn't going to be able to be with me just because he had came out positive for COVID that morning. So I was like, fuck, like, I don't want to have this baby by myself. And I don't know, just a bunch of shit was going through my mind. And then on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, we were trying to do like these exercises to get her to flip around, because he said that in order for him to manually flip her, like, it was too risky, and she could potentially, like, something could go wrong. So he didn't want to do that, and obviously I didn't want to put myself through all that pain, and what if it didn't even work? So we didn't do that. But at home I was like doing some exercises to help her like turn, which it didn't work. Like, she was just comfortable up here on my rib, and I could feel her head too up here on my rib. And then so it didn't work. On Sunday I actually got admitted to the hospital. I was having some contractions, and then Yeah, they checked again. They actually checked my cervix. I was like closed. I was not dilated at all. I was having some contractions, but they weren't like super super bad. And then I lost my mucus plug, or part of it, on Monday night, and then on Tuesday morning at 5 in the morning, that's when I went to the hospital, and we were getting prepped for surgery. So then we did that, and then thankfully Francisco took a test on Monday night, and he came out negative. Like, it was just crazy. So then I was a little bit more calm, because I'm like, okay, he's gonna be able to be there for the birth. And but we were still kind of skeptical. Like, we were like, what if that test, was a false negative, and what if they test you at the hospital and it comes out positive? But thankfully we got there at 5 in the morning. They tested him, it came out negative. So we went up. They were getting me ready for surgery. I was freaking the fuck out. Then the anesthesiologist came to talk to me, and like, I was trying to obviously relax, and I was practicing like my deep breathing and stuff like that. But honestly, like, you feel nervous, but at the same time you feel like calm. It was a weird feeling. And then so then she comes and explains everything to me, what's gonna go down, how they're gonna insert like because they put a spinal block on my back. So she was telling me that, and I felt like kind of like woozy, and I was like, oh my god, calm down. So then she leaves the room. I still remember her face. Like, it was an older nurse. She was like the sweetest. She was like, is this your first baby? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, you're gonna be okay, like, cesareans are good. Like, she was giving me like hopes, and cheering me on and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So we went into the operating room. I was actually like hugging the nurse, the older lady. I was like hugging the shit out of her, because obviously I was scared of the epidural, but you honestly don't really even feel it. Like, yeah, you feel little pinches, because they numb the area. I didn't even know this. So they numb the area first, and then they do like the big needle. So they did that, went through that, and then they like laid me down. I was laying down. She was like, you're gonna feel like tingly, like kind of like if your butt and your legs are asleep. And yeah, immediately like I started feeling it. So they laid me down, they put some medication. My fiance was able to come into the room, so he came in, and no, they did a test to see if I felt anything, and then they put that damn catheter in. I didn't know that I was supposed to get a catheter, and I was just freaking out. I'm like, what if I feel it? Like, wait. And she's like, oh, you're not gonna feel it. I did feel a little pressure, but I didn't feel no pain, so it was good. And then once they were ready to cut me, like they were gonna start cutting me, my fiance came in. He was sitting next to me, and we were able to, I was obviously looking at him, and within maybe like 15 minutes she was out. She didn't cry, so I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, why isn't she crying? Why isn't she crying? So they took her to a little like incubator thing. They ended up like sucking all whatever liquid or whatever she had in her mouth, her nostrils, and then she ended up crying. After that, they cleaned her up. They let me, they cut the, no. You see what happens when you don't listen to mama? It's okay. It's okay. And then so that happened, and then they cut them. Hey, wow, that's so rude. And then yeah, she was born. They started to sew me back up, and I felt really, really nauseous. It's I don't know what she called it, like some layer where they start sewing, like you just feel super, super nauseous. And I was like I was gagging, trying to throw up, which I didn't throw up anything because I hadn't ate. And she gave me medication, and I guess I was bleeding a good amount, so they gave me some type of medication to stop the bleeding. Thankfully it stopped it, because if not I was gonna get a blood transfusion, which I didn't, but super scary. And then after that, they took like 45 minutes probably total. They took me into the recovery room where Liana was with my fiance, and after that the recovery started. I felt like I obviously didn't get up for like 8 hours. I had to breathe through this little thing, so my my laps, my lungs could be good. I don't know all the medical terminology, but anyways, I did that. I didn't want no pain medication because I had a bad experience with like Norco, and I was like, no, I don't want that pain medication. So I didn't take any of the pain medication. I only took ibuprofen like a couple times, which I think I should have took more because I mean, it was okay pain, but then when that first time that they got me up, oh my god, like I thought I was gonna, well, I almost fainted. Thank god I had one of those little fans because that helped me like to not pass out. And anyway, so after that, I was able to get up. I started walking. The nurse was like, the more you walk, the better you're gonna feel. So I was obviously trying to walk, but that shit hurts. It's painful. That first bath, like everybody talks about how good it feels and stuff like that, it did not feel good for me. Like I thought I was gonna die. Yeah, it was horrible. I hated that bath. That first bath, it was horrible. Like my fiance was helping me, and I was in there and I was like, get me out, because I still remember like that feeling, like I couldn't. So then I think we stayed 2 days at the hospital. Yeah, 2 days. And then we were able to come home, and yeah, so the recovery after like being home and stuff like that, I don't think it was as hard because obviously I had my mom, I had my fiance and stuff like that, and you know, they helped. And she's leaving, so it wasn't too bad, but yeah. And now she's thriving. Oh my god, I got something in my eye.